It's the control to keep justice. Who's a magistrate?
Check 1 2. Blessing. Good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to Facts Not Fiction. Those of you tuning in on the World Wide Web. Today, of course, we are in Palo Seco settlement, Dicky Trace, commonly known as Sobo. So, for those of you who don't know where I am, I'm letting you know. So today, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we continue this program. We will be taking this program to the streets to continue to encourage and to edify the citizens of this country of their constitutional rights, and also to highlight the issues that is affecting you, the people of this country. We have spent so many years in this country not paying attention to our constitutional rights, and we are reaping the reward for our lack of understanding of our constitution. We are in a predicament at this time where today we have so much infiltration in relation to all the independent institutions in this country. And you, the citizens of this country, you have allowed the politicians to infiltrate those organizations that ought to be the checks and balance, organization that should be independent to ensure that your rights is preserved and observed. But today in our country, we have seen from years upon years of mismanagement, we have saw where a lot of individuals in this country who supposed to be the protectors of democracy, the protectors of the public purse. And what we have seen over the years is that they utilize the public purse for their the benefit of their friends, their families, and in much cases, the political financiers. And today we are saying that the citizens of this country, you must demand good governance. It matters not who is in office. I really don't care if the UNC in office, the PNM in office. We, the citizens, must demand good governance. We, the citizens, must ensure that those who we elect to preserve our rights and to look after the development of our children, of our grandchildren, we must ensure that they do the job that we elect them there to do. But no, we have allowed religion, race to divide us. We have allowed the PNM UNC syndrome to divide us. So we believe that if the UNC in office, whatever the UNC do is right. And we believe that when the PNM in office, whatever the PNM do is right. But let me tell you something about Victor Alexander Roberts. I am going to call out any and every politician who do wrong. We must ensure that those politicians, that they do what they are supposed to do lawfully, that they do what they are supposed to do rightfully, and that they do what they're supposed to do with your interests at heart. Today in my community, Palo Seco, we have seen a number of children. Yes, I call them children, because while you may be a teenager at some point, we have seen a number of children in this community. It seems as though that there is no hope. It seems as though that there is no opportunity for our children. And who would we blame? Who would we blame? I want to tell you tonight that you need to blame yourself for what is happening in Palo Seco. Because we have allowed a politician, a political party, from the inception of 1956. We have allowed a political party to run for 30 years undisturbed. We have allowed that party, who we experience many forms of corruption. We have seen from since the days of O'Halloran, Pagans come right up the ladder. We have seen that the public purse, how they distribute the public purse amongst themselves, their friends, and their financiers. And today, the people of Palo Seco, we stood up with this party. We stood up. You know why we stood up with that party? Because our parents taught us that that is our party. Our parents would have teach us, and I believe that some children, when they come into the world, that the parent will go to the heirs and say, you come into the world today, remember to vote PNM as you reach 18. And we stood with that policy, and we decided that we will support this party in Labre, Palo Seco, Sobo, Palo Seco settlement rightfully named. We decided that we will support this party and we will stand up with this party. And so we had one gentleman by the name of A.C. Alexis. A.C. Alexis came in as an independent in St. Patrick. And soon after, he get married to Eric Williams' sister, Dr. Williams' sister. And then he transformed himself over to the PNM. And then Alexis stood his term. And after the removal of Alexis, we had another politician by the name of Eon Anthony. And Eon Anthony always with that shojack under my father's house. And always make promises to the people that never materialize. Always promise that we're going to look after the future of Labre. And Labre is the place, and meaning the constituency, right? Labre is the place that we will secure. And hear what? Anthony run a couple terms, and then Anthony went, and we had Albert Richards under the NAR in 86. And after Albert Richards, we came with Head Judge Barrow. And Barrow run his term, and after Barrow run his term, we move on and we come with Jeffrey Fitzgerald. Jeffrey was the principal of the Palo Seco secondary school. And we believe that Jeffrey, being the groundsman that he were, would have looked and stand up for the people of Palo Seco and the constituency of Labre. Only to realize that what happened with Jeffrey was just what happened with the rest that went before. And so they came and they brought unto us Nicole Olivier. And when Nicole Olivier came, we stood up and we say, yes, that is a woman of the soil, living right in Santa Flora. And we think that we will benefit out of Nicole Olivier. You know what happened? You people went through some of the driest dry season under Nicole Olivier. And after Nicole Olivier, after Rowley get rid of Nicole Olivier, and I want to ask you the people tonight, you ever stop to ask yourself why Nicole Olivier was removed as the Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs? You ever ask yourself why? I will tell you why later on. So they removed Nicole Olivier, and then they brought to you a gentleman by the name of McClashy, Stephen McClashy. And when Stephen McClashy came, Stephen McClashy started to walk and tell you that he would not operate as the aforementioned politicians, that he will have your interests, that he will look after your interests. And what eventually happened, ladies and gentlemen, today McClashy is like Casper. He is like Casper, the friendly ghost. You cannot see McClashy for love, you cannot see McClashy for money, and you cannot see McClashy for employment. So McClashy remains the Minister of Labor, and just as the rest that went before, just another failure. And out of all these failures, ladies and gentlemen, out of all these failures, today in Palo Seco, I saw one of my friends who is a hunter put up his hunting dogs for sale. Put up his hunting dogs for sale. Why would a hunter put all his dogs for sale? Let me tell you why. Because we have supported a party that we believe is ours, but the party never take any care of you who support the party. So here what happened. Nicole Olivier, being the Minister of Energy, there was a discrepancy with Petrotrin. And this discrepancy, ladies and gentlemen, is where Point Up here realized that they were not receiving oil for the money that they paying. And so after a report was made and the auditors in Petrotrin did their work, they realized that there was a shortage of oil from a particular contractor who is the friend of the Prime Minister. I want to make it clear. When this took place, ladies and gentlemen, Nicole Olivier went away for a short vacation. Nicole Olivier was fired over the phone because Nicole Olivier allowed this investigation to take place. And when that investigation took place, and all the bacchanal start with state-owned Petrotrain, we recognize that, look, at the end of it all, trouble in the pipeline. It wasn't oil. So the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, who was in a foreign jurisdiction, while the Mark bus and this fake oil scandal started, we have several photos with the Prime Minister at a gentleman house in San Francisco. And while we will have those photos, and I know that Archie will share them with you, while we have those photos, what the Prime Minister did is that when this investigation started, this Prime Minister appointed Franklin Candice as the Energy Minister, fire Nicole Olivier. While this investigation was going on, and we had Scroll and two other consultants, foreign consultants, forensic experts, who came and conduct this investigation, and they found out that yes, there were discrepancies. Yes, this fake oil was real. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, stood up in a foreign country, and while the Prime Minister would have his Energy Minister, and while the Prime Minister would have also had his Attorney General, and while the Prime Minister would have also had the board of Petrotrain, the Prime Minister took a phone and called his friend Avery Jolin to find out, what am I hearing about this fake oil? Now I want you to tell me something, Trinidad and Tobago. I want you to tell me something. If the Prime Minister have the Petrotrain board, the Prime Minister have his Attorney General, the Prime Minister had his appointed Commissioner of Police, the Prime Minister also had his Minister of Energy, why would you take up a phone and call a contractor who is the subject of an investigation with fake oil? Why would the Prime Minister take up a phone and call this individual? And on top of that, the Prime Minister boasted for the media, and he said to the media that Bash is my friend. And what kind of man would I be if I heard about this investigation and I would not take up a phone and call my friend to find out what is this all about? So let me tell you something. There is something that they call misbehavior in public office. And it seems as though misbehavior in public office works only for a group of individuals. Because the Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, ought to know that he is the Prime Minister of this country. And if your friend is the subject of an investigation, what were you doing, Mr. Prime Minister, calling Mr. Bash? I want to ask some questions. I want to ask you, Mr. Prime Minister, were you sending a message to the public that Bash is your friend, so they need to be hands off? I don't know. I am asking question. Are you sending a message to the investigators that this man is your partner, so they better know what they're doing? Because why would you do something as that? Why would you breach? Why would you breach that kind of ethics, Mr. Prime Minister, to call the subject of an investigation? If there's a police officer investigating me, and me and that policeman is friend, would it be ethical for that policeman to call Victor Roberts and say, boy, you know, it have an investigation going on with you, and I just putting you on alert, I want you to know. Why, when our investigation is against a police officer, the state will put that officer either on suspension or put them on a desk duty. You know why, Mr. Prime Minister? To avoid contamination. And what you did, Mr. Keith Christopher Rowley, in my view, you, by your phone call, in my view, you have contaminated a level of that investigation. And therefore, there should be an investigation about your conduct into that whole phone call with you and Avery Drilling. But what I want to come to now is the people of Palo Seco. As a result of the closure of Petrotrin, today you are suffering. Your Prime Minister stood up and your Prime Minister said that he have no problem with the rich getting richer. He have no problem with the rich getting richer. I want to ask my friend, who have he hung dogs and them for sale? If any rich man coming to help him, I want you to listen to the logic of the Prime Minister, what we call donkey logic. If a rich man have 100 meters a drain to dig, you think that rich man come in and call you and divide that drain in two and give both of you all a work to dig that drain? That rich man don't have time with you. That rich man will go and get a mini excavator by your rich friend, by your big shot friend, and bring him to dig the drain. Because to start with, the rich man don't like how you looking. When the rich man watch you, you know what he's seeing? He's seeing a ghetto youth. When the rich man watch you, you think the rich man want you by your house? The rich man don't want you by the house. And the Prime Minister is fully aware. The Prime Minister is fully aware that the rich getting richer will never help the poor. The Prime Minister is aware of that. But you, the people of the constituency, you buy into that donkey logic. You buy into that foolishness that Rowley will stand up and tell you that the rich getting richer and the rich will help the poor. I want you in Palo Seco to tell me, show me one rich individual who helping any one of you in Palo Seco. I want you in Trinidad and Tobago to show me one rich man who helping anyone all here in this country. The rich have a policy. Money follow money. The rich will always be friends with the rich. Why you think the Prime Minister is friends with people like Ling and Avery Drilling and these people? Money does follow money. That is what it is be. And let me talk something on that. As I mentioned that, I saw Faris calling him but, and I believe it was Kazim Hussein, if I'm not mistaken, for carnival in the park. For carnival in the park, liming a photo, the liming and having a time with this man they call Ling. Or they know who is Ling? Ling is this big contractor man in San Fernando with all them yellow and white vehicle. All you seen him all down here cutting all the high tension line. He bringing a crew and he cutting all the high tension line. I want you in Palo Seco, I want one of you to tell me who getting a walk with this big shot man they call Ling. But let me tell you something. They charge Ling for giving his friend his firearm. The police went further and conducted searches at this man's house. And they found over 25 weapons. Over 25 guns was, whether they seize it or they keeping it for safekeeping or whatever. But 25 firearms was found at this man's premises. You know something? For carnival, I saw this same man and some of these politicians in Skinner Park linemen. I want you who probably get charged for a 10 piece or a 20 piece of marijuana. I want you to tell me, if you get locked up for a 20 piece of marijuana, which one of these ministers come in and rub shoulders with you? Which one of these ministers standing up with you in Palo Seco and say, boy, we is partner? They will never stand up with you. But you know what? They're standing up with a friend. They're standing up with a big contractor friend. You know why? The rich getting richer. And you, the people, cannot benefit. So as a result of the closure of Petrotrin, even though Deborah Peak, who is a senior counsel, said to the board of Petrotrin and said to the government of Trinidad and Tobago that the arbitration, the arbiters in their decision, they went against their own rules. But let me just put in this here for you to understand how the thing went. You know how these arbiters were selected? Let me help you to understand that. The people in that AV drilling arbitration, they were selected. One of them was selected by AV drilling. You understand what I'm saying to you? The same man who is the subject of the investigation, he was able to select one of the arbiters. The other arbiter was selected by the board of Petrotrin. Now, who is the head of the board of Petrotrin? The head of the board of Petrotrin is a man, an attorney at law by the name of Michael Kwamana. But who is Michael Kwamana? Michael Kwamana is the friend and the attorney of the Prime Minister. So they select one of the individual, the friend of the Prime Minister, who is A.V. Drilling on one side, and the attorney, the chairman of the board of Petrotrin, is another friend of the Prime Minister, an attorney on the other side. So they select one of the arbiters. A.V. Drilling select one, and you know who select the third one? Both of them get together and select the third arbiter. Both of them get together and select the third. So it was a case of three individuals who is connected by way of selection. By way of selection, I want to be very careful with my words. By the way of selection with the friends of the Prime Minister. And when they had selected this team, and this team sit, the state hired Deborah Peak, who is a senior counsel, to appear on behalf of Petrotrin. Deborah Peak went through the rank and file, length and breadth with this whole arbitration process. And Deborah Peak reported with an 8-page document and tell the government and Petrotrin board that the arbiters made a mistake and that they should appeal the matter quickly. You know what Keith Rowley did? I want to tell you. Keith Rowley stood up in the parliament when the time was almost finished, and Saddam Hussein, who is a UNC MP, asked Keith Rowley with the question and answer segment in the parliament, has the state, the government, appealed the decision by the advice of senior counsel Deborah Peak? You heard what Rowley said? Rowley said that is a matter for Petrotrin. That is not a matter for the government. But I want to tell you something. While Rowley will tell you that is a matter for Petrotrin, it was Keith Rowley and Faris Alwari who withdrew the matter with Malcolm Jones, the same Petrotrin matter. Withdrew the matter with Malcolm Jones, where the Privy Council expressed surprised that the government would withdraw a matter of that nature when it was imminent that Malcolm Jones would have had to pay back you, the taxpayer, millions upon millions of US money. It was Keith Rowley and Alwari that withdraw the matter. And guess what? Guess what? You know who they used to withdraw the matter? The same man who give one government advice, Vincent Nelson, give one government advice to go after Malcolm Jones, turn around and give Rowley advice. And let me tell you some of the advice, less than an iota. Give them advice to withdraw the matter. And Rowley and Faris bold-facedly, brass-facedly take out the matter out of court, where you, the taxpayer, lost millions of dollars. And you know what? When the Petrotrin matter come up and they ask Rowley, the state appeal the decision, Rowley said that is not a matter for the government. that is a matter for Petrotrin. So when Malcolm P&M Jones was before the court, it was a matter for the government. But when Avery Drilling is before the court, Rowley partner, it is not a matter for the government to appeal the decision, but it's a matter for the government to allow the decision to go through the window and turn around and pay Avery Drilling over 100 million of your taxpayer dollar. Over 100 million of your taxpayer dollar. And therefore, you the people of this community of Palo Seco, you are a victim of the P&M governance. You are a victim of Keith Rowley administration. You are the victim in this whole matter because of the closure of Petrotrin. Today, you the people in this community, you cannot survive. You cannot send your children to school. You cannot buy laptop and devices for your children. You cannot pay your bills. This shop, my friend here, could open whole day and whole night. And let me tell you what will be the problem. The problem is not the shop opening whole day and whole night. The problem is people do not have money to buy. And when people does not have money to buy, ladies and gentlemen, what will happen? You will end up with a community of criminals, because nobody will remain sitting. Nobody will remain idle. Nobody will stand up and cannot provide for the children and hear the babies crying for milk and would not do something to give milk to that baby. So therefore, what you will find is, instead of your community grow in terms of development, you will find your community growing in terms of criminality. These people, ladies and gentlemen, who sits in government, who fool you and tell you that they have your interests at heart, they are the ones that have you suffering. And while you think that your brother is your enemy because your brother selling some marijuana across the road and you selling some marijuana across the road, and you feel your brother getting more sale than you, and you believe to get all the sale, right. So when you believe that in order to make that money that your brother making at the corner there, you have to shoot him, you have to lick him down. And when you lick him down, you get the whole block. You understand? That is what you believe. Well, I want to tell you today that your brother is not your enemy. Your brother is doing just what you doing in order to survive. And I cannot tell a man not to sell marijuana when I cannot provide a job for him. And what Keith Rowley did was to make it a free-for-all. So when he believed that he could convince you and he could use you and he could utilize you, he came up with a policy and tell you 30 grams and 3 trees. But let me tell you something. You have nothing to benefit from the marijuana industry, because you is not the big conglomerates. You is not the big business. The people who will have the license to possess marijuana, it will be the big shot. And let me tell you about a draft that is already existing. They are doing a draft whereby when you buy marijuana, you will have to produce a receipt. When the police stop you, very soon it coming, mark my words, when the police stop you, you will have to produce a receipt. And the receipt that you have to produce, it would not be receive marijuana from Victor Roberts. It will be receiving marijuana from the authorized license dealer. And when you doesn't have that receipt, then you would be telling the magistrate where you get the 30 grams and where you get the 3 trees. So what the government continue to do is to fool the voting population and have you to believe that they have your interests at heart. But if the government had your interests at heart, ladies and gentlemen, how come today we are still seeing the level of houses throughout the constituency of Library? If the government have your interests at heart, how come we still have the most latrine in our constituency? The Library constituency, according to the statistics of the regional corporations, the constituency of Library have the most latrine in all the constituencies. Why? Why would you still live under that condition? While you can't provide for your family, while you can't change your house roof, while you can't send your children to school, why would you remain in that condition? Let me tell you why. You remain in that condition, ladies and gentlemen, because you allow yourself to be fooled by a party who never care about you. Never care about you. Today in our constituency, today right here in Palo Seco, I talked to some guys today, and you know one of that folk tell me, he said, Victor Roberts, let me tell you something, brother. My children only bring in big passes, but you know what? My house roof falling apart, Victor Roberts. My daughters bring in good passes, but Victor Roberts, I don't have a job. That is what a man tell me, and you might hear it from him tonight. He said, Victor, I can't provide for my family, boy. What I go do? What would I do? And that is the predicament that we are in a constituency. You know what is sad? Let me tell you what is sad. We would have had some excuse. We would have had a good excuse if the Indian government between 2010 and 2015 had done what the PNM continue to do to us. We would have stand up. We would have an excuse. But you know what the old people say? The old people say, when your own flea bite you, it does bite harder than the neighbor own. We are in this condition, in this community, because of the PNM, because of the African government. That is why we're in this condition. We are suffering because we allow this African government to manipulate our thoughts, our mind, and even our decision in voting. We must reach the stage where we must put aside racial politics in this country. The people who will stand up, the people who will walk when an election call and come and tell you, vote for the PNM. All of them, some of them from right in Sobo here, who does come and tell you, when election bell ring, we want you to come and vote. We send in a car for you. We're going to pick you up. Come and vote for the PNM. No one can provide for the family. You seen them? Where are those canvassers? You know why? They don't want to see all you now, because they're eating our food. They're having a meal. Let me tell you something. Saba, I want to ask you a question, Saba. You can stay there. I want to ask you a question. Do you think it's right that it have a work might be starting down by the velodrome, and you have to go in a PNM office to get a form, to get a work from a contractor?
No.
How could a government award a contract to a contractor, but in order for you to get employment, you have to go in the PNM office? Let me make it clear. You have to go in McClatchy office in Rancho to get a form to fill out for a job from a contractor who get a contract. I try to understand that, Max. But I want to put the contractor on notice here tonight. Well, let me put the contractor on notice. Mr. Contractor, tonight I put in you on notice that you better come Palo Seco by the ghost tree with your forms and hand it out for people to register. Because if all you believe that all you're going to put PNM supporters to get a work by that velodrome alone, then let me tell you something, Mr. Contractor. Hire more, plenty more security. Hire plenty more security. Because you, the people of this community, you must not tolerate that type of behavior. We fed up with nepotism. If there's a work in the community, everybody must work. Let me tell you something. When people are hungry, I think it was Stalin who sing a song, sufferers don't care who from country, sufferers don't care who from tongue, sufferers want to know where the next meal coming from. And you, the people of Palo Seco, let me tell you something. And I have to be careful because let me tell you this too. I want to tell you this too. The government of Trinidad and Tobago behind me like a hunting dog. So let me tell you this. You, the people of Palo Seco, it is about time. It is about time you stand up on what God give you. Your legs. It have too much of big men creeping like baby in Palo Seco. They're standing up for nothing. They're creeping. Stand up. God created you with legs. Stand up like human being and stand up for what is right. Let me tell you something. Everybody here know me. Everybody here know me. And let me tell you what all you know. All you know. Let me tell you all you know. All you know that Victor Roberts, all you know Mas Dose. And I know all you know. I'm never afraid about it yet. All you know that. All you know my whole past. All you know everything about me. And what all you must know now is that I am no longer Dose. I am Victor Roberts. You know why? Because Victor Roberts took a vow to stand up and to fight for what is right. The same fight I used to fight before. All you know I never used to see advantage and stand up. Once I see advantage, you show you have some hard cuff to get. That was a norm. All you know that. But today, my fight is not about kick and cuff. My fight is not about cutlass, gun and knife. My fight is a fight for the poor, the oppressed and the downtrodden. That is where my fight is. And I want to say this. Let me say this. I do not care about the rich getting richer. That is not Victor Roberts' policy. The rich, let them invest and make the money. But it's about time the poor people in this country start to have a taste. Start to have a taste of standing up on your own 2 feet and providing for your family. That is what we're fighting for. The fight now mustn't be against your brother. Your brother hustling just like you. Your brother looking for $1 just like you. That is not the fight. That is not the fight. And I want to tell the gangsters tonight. I want to tell the gangsters, all you pointed all your guns in the wrong direction. All you pointed all your guns at all your brother. All your brother is not the enemy. All your brothers is not the enemy. The enemy of this country, they are the policy makers. They are the enemies. So you cannot point your gun at your brother who tried to hustle just like you. I had one rule going up. My rule was never hustle from a hustler. I never support that. Never hustle from a hustler. My job growing up is to help a hustler hustle, not to hustle from him. And that is the policy. You must stand up. You must get up, Palo Seco. Get up. Get up on your legs. And let us stand together. And let us stand for what is right. All of us are a pass. All of us are a pass. Keith Rowley have a past and still have a present. Because I see Keith Rowley whining on a girl the other for carnival. Whining on a girl. And hear this. When they ask Keith Rowley about that situation, I saw Keith Rowley in a big PNM meeting. And Keith Christopher Rowley telling the audience, I walking across the stage with Rohan Sinenan and Rigelo. And a girl start to whine back on me. And watch Rowley conduct. The UNC expect me to run. But you as a prime minister, you have to be shameless to be holding an office as the prime minister and conducting yourself, whether it's for carnival or not, conducting yourself, whining and hugging up a young girl. You have no respect for your wife, Keith Rowley. You is a married man. You have no respect for your family. You probably have bigger children than that young lady. But that is the example. And you know what I saw? I saw the PNM supporters clapping and supporting that kind of behavior. That is what they support. We must not, ladies and gentlemen, we must not train our children to even try to emulate Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley is the worst prime minister ever in the history of politics. Keith Rowley, stand up. And let me tell you something. Keith Rowley is also a liar. Keith Rowley is also a liar. Keith Rowley stood up and he tell you, the government, let me talk to the mothers. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin. You remember that? But I have a question. Where Petrotrin? And first the evil, first the wicked. They ain't only close down Petrotrin where you can make $1, you know. They ain't replace it with nothing that you could benefit. They ain't replace it.
To make one clear statement to you, first and foremost, the government is not closing down Petrotrin.
That is what the man said. You used to get a little crash. All you remember? Christmas. All you used to run up the road and get a little 3 days. Get a little kakada. We all look at provide for your family. You know what all you getting now? All you ain't getting kakada, you know. All you have nothing to get. So here what I want you to do. You see when the election bell ring, which it will ring very soon. And them people, even your neighbors, who come to tell you, we wanted to vote PNM, run them like dogs. Run them, because let me tell you something. They are the ones that have Keith Rowley treating you the way he treating you, because they support nothing. They stand up for nothing. And that is why the community have nothing. We had so much resources. We have had oil, we have had gas, we have pitch, we have minerals. All that we have in this country. And what you benefited from? What you getting? You have absolutely nothing to get. That is the reality. We had Station Beach in Library, where ships used to come and collect asphalt. Right in Library. We had LNG. We had oil. We have, a matter of fact, we were so energy based that we believe that Trinidad was the Dubai. That is what we believe. And watch, indeed, Trinidad was the Dubai. That is what we was. But guess what? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have nothing close to do, you know. All we have from this government is bye-bye. That's all we have. Bye. Nothing. Nothing for people. So we had to wake up. We have to get up. We are faced with a situation where today the office of the DPP is under serious attack. And while the office of the DPP is under attack, we will have Keith Rowley speaking about individuals who desecrating the office of the president and the office of the prime minister. I want to tell Keith Rowley tonight that nobody have to desecrate the office of the prime minister. He is already doing a very good job. He already doing a very good job. The office of the president was brought into question because of the behavior of Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley stood up and said, I was the man with the meritless situation. And let me tell Paula May Week something one time. Madam ex-president, I don't know what law you want to go on to teach. You, Madam ex-president, should sit down in a rocking chair and reminisce on the collapse of the Police Service Commission. Because you, Madam ex-president, who is versed in constitutional laws, you have studied. A matter of fact, you are also a lecturer, Madam ex-president. And you, Madam ex-president, know fully well, according to section 123 of the Constitution, what ought to happen with the meritless. But you know what you allow, Madam ex-president? You allow political interference. That you allow a meritless that reach in your possession. According to law, from your possession, it must go to the parliament. You know what you facilitate, Madam ex-president? The breach of the Constitution. So as far as Victor Roberts, as far as I am concerned, you, Madam President, can't teach me nothing. And let me just tell you this, Madam President. I think I will share that with you tonight. Madam President, Victor Roberts recently received a distinction in legal studies. Let me put that on the record tonight, Madam President. So you are not fit, you are not qualified, as far as I am concerned, to deal with any constitutional matters when you allow the whole collapse of the police service. That is the reality. So you could want to go on to teach and want to go on to do whatever you want. The point I am making is that when you break the law, and I think we must have some amendments to our constitution, because you cannot tell me that a president who will facilitate the breach of the constitution, and you telling me that she's exempted from any form of prosecution. We have Bliss Sipasad, who went to school with Rowley wife. Bliss Sipasad, blatant breach of the Constitution. How come we ain't hearing nothing about any investigation? How come we not hearing that Bliss Sipasad is before the court for misbehavior in public office? You know why we can't hear that? We will never hear that, because there is one law for you and another law for them. When you're big and you have friends in high office, you could get away with murder in this country. But when you're poor, ladies and gentlemen, when you are in the condition that the PNM government brought us in Palo Seco, let me tell you something. If you bust your toe, you can't even buy a plaster. But them eating shrimps and they drinking scotch and having a good time. And you know what they're saying? Don't worry. Election coming. We go pay for road. Election coming. We will give them water in the pipe. Election coming. We will give them a 10 days. Election coming. Give them some hampers. Election coming. That is all they need. And they're going to vote me back. I used to move with Hedridge Barrow. I know they know that. And when we go into library, I used to go in Republic Bank and collect $1,000 in $5 bill. And as we reach library, and somebody say, oh God, Mr. Barrow, things hard. Hold a 5. Mr. Barrow, let me drink something. Hold a 5. Mr. Barrow, we are nothing. Hold a 5. That is what it was. That is what it was. At least with Barrow, you were still getting a 5. With McClatchy, you ain't even getting a visit. You ain't even getting a visit from McClatchy. But local election around the corner, I will introduce the candidate, the prospective candidate in a little bit. But local election round the corner, and they will be coming to you. They will be giving you 10 days. They will be giving you hampers. They will be giving you handout. You will hear legal clinic coming. You will hear medical clinic coming. You will hear if you have a problem, come and see the attorney. All that you will hear. But when election finish, all you will hear is time for all you to disappear. Absolutely nothing. We must hold government accountable. I don't care who in office. I am a member of the UNC. And I joined the UNC not because I like Kamala. I didn't join the UNC because I like Tanku. I joined the UNC because I like Vandana. I joined the UNC because of the policies they brought between 2010 and 2015. That is why I joined the UNC, because I know my whole family was PNM. My mother still is. Mommy, you hearing me?
Yes.
Still is. But don't frighten. She go vote for she son and she daughter, she granddaughter. But there's PNM. And let me tell you something. We the people, you and I, must never stand up. Let me talk about me first. I, Victor Roberts, will never stand up and support any level of corruption or wrongdoing within the party that I belong to. I want that to go on record. And it matters not who vex when I talk. Because I often say, I am not in a beauty contest. So nobody do have to like me. The people that like me, love me. So I'm not in a beauty contest. I don't care who vex. But I am not going to stand up and support any form of corruption in the party that I belongs to. And if I am not going to stand up and support that in the party that I belong to, then you must know that Victor will not tolerate any level of what is happening now in this country. And I'm afraid to say the word corruption because the whole government corrupt. The whole government corrupt. We have in 2016 a Minister Camille Robinson Regis. Let me say it again. Minister Camille Robertson Regis have hanging over her head $143,800 with a bank situation. Since 2016, Minister Camille Robertson Regis. We also have Foster Cummins, the Minister of Youth Development. We have seen where the special branch, I don't know who is the special branch. The special branch is a specialized unit within the TTPS. The special branch carry out investigation. The special branch will also form part of a detail for ministers and prime ministers and let me even call this joker Chief Justice. But the special branch have the work to do. So the special branch, when you intend to enter public life, they will do a little checkup on you. Who is Victor Roberts? Victor Roberts, born here, went to school there, was in this religion here, jump across there, do theology here, do this here. He was bad over there. All that they go do. And what they do, they submit that to the political directorate of whatever party. The special branch submit a report to the Prime Minister on the conduct and the activities of Foster Cummins when Foster Cummins was a senator. The Prime Minister would have reviewed that document. But when we would expect that something of a serious nature, where this report spells out interaction with criminal elements, interaction in a level of corruption, we would have believed that a prime minister will say, let us put this on hold, do a thorough investigation, and give the minister or the senator at the time the option to clear himself. Rowley removed Foster Cummins from the Senate. And Rowley took Foster Cummins, put him in a safe seat, make him a MP, and then pull him in the cabinet as a minister. So a document surfaced from the Venture Credit Union account, which shows that Foster Cummins and family have within that facility $4.4 million. When we believe that after hearing that Foster Cummins is a part of the government, and it appears as though another entity of the government is giving Foster Cummins contract, giving Foster Cummins family, his wife involved, contracts from this government to government arrangement. So when we believe that Keith Rowley would have called a serious investigation, put Foster Cummins on the backbench, Keith Rowley stand up and say, I stand by my ministers. We have also had Faris Alwari with a Porsche Cayenne that was sold, that there was an issue of transferring that vehicle. And we end up seeing that Faris Alwari and Kewal Singh, who was a member of the Police Service Commission, who was also also an attorney at law at one time for one Vincent Nelson. Oh, you know Vincent Nelson? Vincent Nelson is the ex-Queen's King's counsel. Right now we could call him the criminal counsel because he charged with criminality. Vincent Nelson made a sweetened deal with Faris Alwari, and you know all who tie up in that deal? Faris tie up, Kewal Singh tie up. We also have MP for Port of Spain tie up in that deal. But let me tell you the worst part of that. While they will cut this deal and they would allow Vincent Nelson to turn witness and cut a deal where Nelson could lie, he could talk the truth, he could say this, he could say that. Or we just say that apartheid. You could say this, you could say that, whatever he does say. But at the end of the day, Vincent Nelson end up as the main witness. Faris Alwari, Vincent Nelson had a $10 million bill inside to collect on advice that he gave the previous government. Faris Alwari stop it. Faris Alwari stop the payment. You know, as soon as Vincent signed up this sweetheart deal, you know Vincent was paid the $10 million. Added to that, let me tell you something that everybody who is before the court should get together and look for a good attorney and take the state to task, because it seems as though that discrimination is the order of the government business. All you know what all the government did? All your government lock up Vincent Nelson, and all your government take taxpayer money and pay lawyers in England to represent the same Vincent Nelson who they lock up. All your laws, all you understand that? The government lock up Vincent Nelson for corruption. The government take money out of the treasury and pay English lawyers to represent the same man who they lock up. Millions upon millions of dollars. But when you, the little black boy, get locked up, you know what happened to you? If you cannot get an attorney, we provide a legal aid. And here the legal aid, when the legal aid come, let me see how fast we can lick up this little black boy, set him up in the people prison and collect his salary. So the government not taking no money to pay for all you, but they take all your money to pay for a criminal. You know why? Because there's one law for all you and another law for them. That is what we face in this country. And I share all these examples with you tonight for you to understand that we are within a serious predicament. We are at the point of this whole government that very soon the new industry for you to live would be the industry of criminality. You will have to turn to crime to survive in this country. You will continue to murder your brother for a space on the block in this country. You will continue to live in houses that is dilapidated because of this government. You would not be able to provide for your children because of this government. And this will continue to happen until you, the people, decide that we're going to stand in unity and we're going to stand for what is right. We don't have to take up a gun to live. We don't have to kill nobody to live. The resources of the country belongs to you people. The wealth of the country belongs to you. But you would not get a taste of the pie while you are divided. You would not get a taste of the pie when you support McClatchy and the PNM. You have to stand up and say, the time has come in this country for we to benefit from the resources. In order to do that, you must first hold government accountable. And let me tell you how easy it is. It is as easy as uniting. If you doesn't unite, you have no chance. This is where we are. So I take this time tonight to highlight some of the issues, the serious issues, and break it down to the point that you could understand. Because parliamentary language is very difficult for the man on the street to understand. But my job is to bring the message to you that you could understand what is happening with you in this country. So before I introduce the prospective candidate for the district of Palo Seco, I want to open the floor for just 2 or 3 minutes to anybody who want to talk a bit about what they're going through in this country. So I'll open the floor to see if anybody brave enough. So while you're making up your mind, I have with me here tonight a young lady who will introduce herself to you. And this young lady, ladies and gentlemen, is the potential candidate for the district of Palo Seco. This young lady hails, let me leave that for she to do. Let me leave all that for this young lady to do. But tonight, without any further ado, I want to invite none other than the potential candidate for the district of Palo Seco to share a few words with you. So let us just give her a round of applause, please.
A pleasant good night to Palo Seco. Thank you all for coming out here tonight, And, well, I'm looking forward after for you all to come and interact with us, and actually come on and talk and, voice the concerns you all have. So, I am Nicola Sylvester. I am from Las Bajo. Many of you might know me as the girl from by the depot out the road, But I am a humble individual, Growing up as a youth, how to say it? I see how people around, they had a lot of concerns, but nobody to actually fight on their behalf. Around the election, people coming around and promising, and nothing is being done. Now, when you ask people, what they want, everybody is saying they want employment, they want betterment. But yet still, the government is focusing on roads and all these things. Yes, these are things that the councillors and them are in charge of. But what we are, what the councillors mainly supposed to be, is the voice of the people. Now, when we go into school, they teach us, they put us in groups to do teamwork, right? Because why? Everybody would have a different opinion or a different solution, right? And we have to come together to work it out, to get the job done, right? And if we have 100 people, 100 people in Palo Seco with different opinions, different concerns, and all these things, and nobody to actually stand up and fight for them, then it makes no sense, right? And growing up as a young lady, seeing this, and also seeing Mr. Roberts, fighting for the people of Labrie, I wanted to jump on board because I am a people person and I believe, that everybody should have justice. Everybody should be living, nice. Not only the persons up there, but we should not be thrown behind a curtain and not cared about, right? So I am here and it's only you all, right? The vote is up to you all to put us in to actually do something for you all, right? And I am here with you all votes on election to be that voice for Palo Seco, to be that voice, for the electoral district in Palo Seco for Labre, right? And I think that I am a perfect candidate because I believe in fairness. I believe in fighting for what is right. I believe in for people to hold each other hand to pull out and come out of the struggles, right? I believe that everybody should be living at a high standard, right? Now, when they told me I had to speak, I didn't know what to say, right? I was very nervous, but at the end of the day, I am speaking from my heart, and my heart is for the people, right? It's for the people. So it's up to you all. The vote is in your hands for me to represent you, for me to be the voice of Palo Seco, to pull you all out, because if you all not fed up of the circumstances we living in, I am fed up of it. I want to come out. So I am here to fight with you all, to be your voice, to come out of whatever we are facing in Palo Seco. Thank you.
Right, so here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Nicola is a very, very talented individual, and her pledge is to work with you to ensure that the electoral district of Palo Seco move from the pit that we are in at this time, and to help each and every individual to have a better life, because that is what politics ought to be about. Politics really is about building a better life, building better communities. That is not what we get in, that is not what we see in. So we must be able to stand up and to take control of our destiny, because if we don't take control, then nobody will. So that's the truth and the fact. So ladies and gentlemen, we have to wrap up because we work with time. We will be back. We will be moving from community to community. In some cases, we will do what we have to do. But for the time being, we want to have these little meetings to bring you up to date as to what really happened with the resources of this country. So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. I appreciate your presence, and we will work together to ensure that not only Palo Seco, but that the constituency of Labre receive the just reward of the public pie, which is the public purse, to enhance and to ensure a better life for every citizen. So God bless you. Good night. We out of here. Right, just one final thing that I need to say. I want to truly thank the police officers who is within our midst tonight, and we do trust and hope that they will have a safe return from whence they came. Good night.